You want to know why there's 40 million acres? Because it's fit, and that endophyte is making it fit. So we had the classic dilemma at this stage. We had animal health problems, and we didn't like that. But we had pasture persistence problems, and we didn't like that either. So we were sitting there saying, what am I going to do? And it was about this time that they were talking about now in the late 70s through the early 80s, where there was a lot of work being done on this because they had defined it, and now they were trying to say, how could we get ourselves out of this? And of course, the universities, especially, this was their mandate, especially the experiment stations and the extension service. This was their mandate. We needed to do something to help farmers overcome this problem or somehow solve this dilemma. It's the classic horns of a dilemma. You got animals, you don't want them suffering, but at the same time you want to keep your pastures or make the management a lot easier on your pastures. So there's a lot of stuff out there now. I just showed two publications that came out of either national organizations, international organizations, or even and I'm sure Virginia's got them too. You can just find them. And there was a lot of research and extension efforts, and you can tell how to manage fescue. And so, just real quickly, what did we do? Well, what we were doing, and I want to start emphasizing this, we were just mitigating. We were just reducing the problem. We weren't attacking the problem. I mean, we weren't getting rid of the problem. We were just trying to manage our way around it, which is fine, and that's really where we are today. We're still trying to manage our way around it. And those management things fell into three categories: animal treatment, pasture management, and then finally where we went to in my program was trying to develop new cultivars and endophyte combinations that solve that problem. Gave us the animal health that we wanted, or the animal performance and no toxicity, but at the same time kept at least some level of persistence that the farmer was expecting. So let's look at the animal treatments. Again, these are rescue efforts mostly. They're treating the symptoms and not the problem. I want to emphasize that. The first one was there are some pharmacologic agents. Domperidone is one. In other words, especially in horses, when they're getting in they're really in severe, and they're pregnant mares, they're having to rescue them. They get them out of there, and they actually give them this so they will not abort their foals and stuff. I mean, this is truly a rescue effort. And then of course. Feed supplements. I think, Matt, that thing you showed was very interesting about the copper and the zinc. I mean, that's you can say selenium, copper. Some type of additives to help the animals along. Would be one way of doing it. The other one was breeding. I mean, there was a lot of work being done. Could we actually breed our way out of this? There was animals that had been exposed to fescue for a long time. Did they actually? Have they been adjusting, genetically, et cetera, et cetera? And then finally, could we vaccinate them? Could we build up vaccines? And we found out we could. There were a lot of work. I don't know where it went, Chris, but there were a lot of vaccines being developed, and it just became, the clinical trials became very expensive, and I think they didn't, a lot of, like Merck, and then they just decided, well, or Pfizer, they might not could go there, So Mark, this is a classic animal science approach, isn't it? We're going to dose them, we're going to supplement them, we're going to breed them, and we're going to vaccinate them. If that doesn't work, then we're going to finally look at our pastures. Yeah. And so now we're going to get on to the agronomy. So again, pasture management, this is where we are today. If we want to go after it. From this standpoint, we're going to avoid it. This is a classic environmental. We're going to avoid it. We're going to switch to just a different species. You don't like fescue, use orchard grass. I'm not sure I can do that. Or at least use some orchard grass hay or Bermuda hay or something when you're feeding hay. At least try to cut down how much they get exposed to. So there, and it works. I mean, there's no doubt avoidance is a real good way to do it. manage your endophyte free. And there are farmers who do that. I mean, there are farmers who they have just decided they're just going to do the things they have to do. They're going to pull animals off at the right time. They're not going to overgraze. They're going to keep their fertility good. And I've seen pastures of fungus-free fescue even in Georgia that are 10, 15 years old. You know, the farmers are just managing their way around. So just know that that's a possibility. The other was what Matt mentioned, interplanting with legumes. It's always been a debate, though, I think, among people who work in this area, how much is nutrition and how much is actual dilution. Even though Matt showed that when you have a grab sample, and I thought that was great, Matt, that when you have a grab sample of a mixed stand, your alkaloid levels are lower. So, but what that doesn't account for is selectivity by the animals. I don't know in that grab, I don't know how much of that grab sample the animals are actually eating. Are they eating more clover or are they eating more grass? In other words, they actually might not. They actually might be taking in a lot more than 350 parts per billion. Or they might be taking less. It's just hard to tell. It's just you know, a wild card sitting out there. But there's no doubt. Even if you got fungus free or max Q, plant clover. It really helps. It'll really help, and especially in this day and time where nitrogen fertilizer is expensive. It's still plant legumes. You can't go wrong. But as far as the topic today, though, of toxicity, it's probably diluting some, but the problem is, like I say up there, you're treating the symptom. The grass that's still out there is toxic. Removing the seed heads, you know, we always thought that was good. After Matt's data, I'm not so sure. You know, it looked like they kind of spiked up there. But anyhow, most of the data I've seen there is still the alkaloid levels, even when they cut them off, you know, they're still dealing in the thousands.